Welcome everyone, and thank you for tuning in. Today we're going to be talking about reckless or poor drivers. Show your hands out there, all the good drivers. All the good drivers? Good. We're not going to be talking about you. You can put your hands back down. We're going to be talking about the rest of you there. All those other drivers. Some of which seem to have the mental capabilities of a snail when you watch some of those folks driving. Take, for instance, some pickup truck drivers. You know the ones I'm talking about. They got the rifle mounted over the back window. They might have some revolvers in the glove compartment. They like to watch NASCAR, cars going in circles. Lap 1. Lap 2, hours on end. Doesn't lap 1 look a lot similar to lap 45, 46, 47? You wonder about these folks. You really do. And what about the folks that are on substances while they're driving? They may be illegal or they may not be. They could be just drinking a lot of tequila. If they're drinking a lot of tequila, they're having a good time. Rap, rap, rap. Driver's license, registration. Looks like you're having a good time. Is that a bottle of tequila? Oh, no. Well, step out, sir. Walk this line, please. And off they go, happy as a lark. Then you have the people that are on pharmaceuticals or other illegal drugs that may make them a little drowsy. Rap, 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 driver's license and registration. Looks like you were driving erratically, ma'am. Come out here and walk this line, okay. And off they go, very happy, just like our tequila driver. Rap, rap, rap. This is pot. License and registration, please. Would you please come out and walk this white line? Yes, I will, sir. And they just do fine. They do fine probably each time and get away with it. PCP, oh my goodness. PCP driver. Rap, rap, rap. License and registration, please. Okay. You're driving quite fast there, sir. And erratic. Would you please step out of the car and see if you can walk this line? And hippity hop, this person is just all over the place. I don't know. Young man, it looks like you have too much energy. We're going to have to take you in. Then we have the drivers that are on a combination of those various substances, or all those substances. Then we have the category that continues out of the PCP type driver. Then we get into the category of the wonderful, sweet folks that are trying to attain the blue ribbon of reckless driving. You know the ones I'm talking about. They're all in the left-hand lane. They're all driving between 15 and 20 miles an hour above the speed limit. That's because it's their God-given right to speed like that. They don't have to pay attention to the speed limits. It's the drivers, you know the ones I'm talking about. It's the BMWs, the Audis, etc., etc. They don't have to watch the speed limit. And then that group is usually followed right behind them is the group of college students. Now the college students, there's a reason they're there. When they graduate, they're ready to join the upwardly mobile group on the front of them. They're in training. Now if you happen to be in the right-hand lane and you decide it's time to pass a tractor-trailer truck, it may take you 10, 15, 20 seconds to go around that truck in a safe manner. Now if you happen to go out and take 10 seconds later in that lane, those reckless drivers have caught up to you. Those speeders, chances are the one in the lead is the one with the face, if you look in the rearview mirror, giving you that look, trying to mentally make you press the accelerator for you to speed up. Doesn't work, but that's what they're trying to do. They'll give you a little tap on the horn. They may blare the horn. They may flash their lights. You hurry up, get out of my way. And by the time you get up in front of the tractor-trailer truck, and your back end is 5 feet away from the tractor-trailer truck, they're going to try and scoot right through there. And they do, and they come around the car and just about sideswipe you, letting you know that how dare you impede their progress. I was in Vermont this year, going west to east on Route 7. Getting dark. Divided highway, 2 lanes on each side. I could not see the signs above the road indicating what exits they were. So when I came upon those signs, I just flashed my lights a little bit. When I did that, there was a pickup truck a couple hundred feet in front of me. He started to slow down. What's going on? So we traveled down the road a couple more miles. I got to another exit ramp and a sign I couldn't see, flashed my lights. He starts slowing down again. So I moved over to pass him. I moved over to pass him, he moves over and blocks my path. I move back in the other lane and he blocks that path and slows down. Luckily, this game did not last long, and by that time I was wondering about the mental capacity here of a snail, and hopefully I was going to find an exit ramp, in which I did soon. Other incident in Vermont, weird pickup truck driver. The other one was going the other direction on Route 10, and it was a 2-lane highway, and there was a truck, pickup truck, in front, and he was a couple hundred feet. I wasn't near him. We were about going the same speed. We came upon an area where the road widens to 3 lanes on our side in order for people to pass. So I thought, well, I'd like to go a little faster than he was going. I'll go ahead and pass him. So as soon as we get to where the road is 2 lanes on the one side, he floors it. Up the hill he goes. I thought, shoot, this is my only chance. I've got to floor it too. So we're both flooring it up the highway. And I thought, I am not going to get around this guy. So I backed off, let him come around me, and for another 10 miles, we continue in the same lane. What was going through his head? Is there something in the water in Vermont? Another case, taking my son to a snowboarding competition years ago. We had to take a rural road. It was a straight stretch for what looked like a mile or 2. There's you guessed it, a pickup truck in front of me. So I decided, well, this is a good place to pass. He was going really slow, so I moved over to the left, started to pass him. He looks over at me, And he starts to keep the same speed as me. He's increasing his speed with me. So I backed off, and he backs off. I sped up. He speeds up. I said, oh shit, here comes a car my way. So I backed off, he backed off. I put on the brakes, swerved over to the right lane, and just missed that car. So what is it? Pickup truck driver. In town here. We came to a T intersection. The pickup truck pulled up to the road, straight with the road, no turn signals on, in position to where you were going to make a left turn. I was with my two sons. We pulled over to the right, plenty of room beside the truck, turned right. As soon as we turned right, we heard this truck, loud acceleration comes swerving around us, stops, puts the brakes on. They get out of the truck. Well, what are they going to do? They come drunkenly up to the car and ask us, what do you think you're doing? And with that, I wasn't about to increase the level of their aggressiveness. So I didn't say anything. Now, there's a lot of distracted drivers out there besides people on substances. We have people driving down the road having conversations. Hello, how you doing? Blah, blah, blah. We have people driving down the road eating while they're driving. We have rubberneck drivers. Farmers coming to town maybe. Haven't seen things in a while. There's a bush. I haven't seen that bush before. That house is painted. Oh, that's a new car over there. Then we have all the nice folks decide that they have to text while they're driving. That's a good idea. Let's look down here at stoplights. I got to do my texting. And of course now there's no reason for texting because of Bluetooth. The other distractions in town especially is all the technology we have in our automobiles. AC, computers, cameras, audio systems, you name it. You get out on the highway, you get complacent because you no longer have to use your muscles in your legs to push any pedals. And you really don't have to hold on to the steering wheel that tight on the interstate. You're going straight ahead. It's going to get really boring. You know, you got two fingers maybe left on the wheel and you're falling asleep. Feeling, you know, tired maybe. Maybe we should come up with a smart car. We won't even have to do that. Hey, wait a minute. There is a smart car. Hey, I'm really feeling worthless. There are cultural differences in the world, i.e. or therefore there are cultural differences in the way we drive. Take for instance this case. I was driving from Virginia to the Keys in Florida. I wanted to make it in one day, 20 hours. I was going through the Gold Coast of Florida, Fort Lauderdale, to Miami. You would think at that time in the middle of the night there would be very little, if not any traffic, but that wasn't the case. And I guess that's normal. Well, so when I got down there at the middle of the night after having driven from 6 o'clock in the morning, and I'm being passed by vehicles so fast I cannot identify what make or model they are, and being maybe a little bit sleepy. What went through my mind is, am I just going through Daytona Beach? Is this a race? Because I felt in my vehicle as if I was almost going, or very slow, if not stopping. And they're whizzing by me, probably doing 130, 140 miles an hour. What is going through these drivers' mind? No speed limits, no police around. Crazy, reckless driving. Now, an entirely different paradigm shift if you want to experience driving, road conditions, etc. in a different part of the world. Go to Asia, especially if you go to visit a place like Nepal, which is the Himalaya Mountains. Kathmandu, the driving conditions, if you want to call it driving conditions, is a congested pile of vehicles enveloped with smog and billowing fumes from diesel and cars. If you happen to be in a public bus with the windows open, you have to take breaths and then hold it. Breath and hold it, because the air is so bad and things are so close and people are jostling for every little inch. When I was in a bus, I noticed that there's a guy in a suit over here to the right, and we had gone a couple miles, and I noticed him just to the right on the sidewalk there. So he was walking as fast as the traffic was moving. People honking their horn, people yelling at each other. It was crazy. And the road system throughout most of the Nepal area, the roads eventually dead end, unless they go south, because you're going to run into the mountains. And the roads aren't like our roads here. Those roads that follow the mountains, on the sides of the mountains, snake along. Those roads may often don't have a guardrail. And if you're in a public bus and you happen to be on the side where you get to look down 1,000 feet to the right with a little tiny shoulder of road right there, and then a bus is coming the other direction, you might be passing each other with a couple inches in between. Crazy. Scary. Guardrails or not. And then you might be impeded by rock slides or mudslides. You might be held up or possibly be able to get around, but not necessarily. When you go to the end of the road and you want to proceed into the mountains, in some cases you can proceed up what we consider to be a trail, which would be a gravel, very narrow trail. I would not take or recommend that someone take a four-wheel drive vehicle up this. Now, I was on some of these back trails, and they do have public transportation. There is a bus, smaller bus, that does travel on some of these back roads when the monsoon season is not in full force. Now, I had to take a little bus between two towns, and I got on the bus and I thought, well, this should be very interesting, riding a bus on what I would consider almost a hiking trail. And within a couple of minutes, I was in the back seat. I was cowering down in fear, and all the people around me were just fine. This is normal. They're used to it. But looking down to the left or the right, the dangers are there. Perspective on life and death. Now moving geographically to my hometown. My hometown is an interesting place to drive. It's situated geographically between two mountain ranges, so it is a valley. And people here do know how to drive in the mountains on windy roads. But they're safe. They have guardrails and they're very wide, and you can pass. Now, this is a town with a nickname, the Friendly City. It's the Friendly City, and I call it the Friendly City where the living dead drive, because most people here, or some people here that drive, they do seem to be driving like they're dead. Now, what does that mean? Some of these people are not capable of handling any motorized vehicle. How they passed their driver's license, I have no clue. And if they did, what happened to this knowledge? Now, we do have what you call here an engineering department. It's a traffic engineering department. And it's surprising what kind of practices and installations come out of this, because we have twice as many stoplights as the next big city, Charlottesville, which is over twice the size of us, but Charlottesville has less stoplights. Our traffic engineering department has made the decision that in order to impede the flow of traffic, that we have more stoplights. And by that I mean, yes, we have more stoplights, and yes, according to the traffic engineering department, those are used to stop you. So as you get from one stoplight to the other, you should be stopping. Now, understanding that the traffic engineering department is calling these stoplights gives you a clue that their incapability of understanding the true nature, or the true word is a traffic light, which is supposed to improve the flow of traffic. Someone please tell them. And now I would like to talk about certain driver infractions. And for those infractions that I'll be talking about, I'm going to be giving them a hypothetical retribution or punishment. And also, this is audience participation, so give yourself points for each one if you feel as if you are that type of driver. If you get one infraction, well, that's sort of okay. 2 infractions, you're borderline moron, idiot driver. 3 infractions, pass your licenses up. I want your driver licenses. First one, turn signals. I don't know why in our town people do not use turn signals. I can only surmise the reason. Do they not know that they have a little stick sticking out of their steering column that is for this operation? Do they just not care? Therefore, why should I use a turn signal? Now, due to the fact that this is occurring, what happens is, if you're going and moving with the traffic and you happen to be behind one of these people that want to make a right-hand turn off the road, well, you might have a comfortable distance, but if you're not using your turn signal and you're a person that does not know how to make your right-hand turn properly, which is a smooth turn, rather they put the brakes on and almost stop to make their turn. So you're right on their bumper by the time they have finished making their turn. This infraction, retribution, give them a light little tap on their bumper with your car. Go ahead and tap that bumper. Semi-turns. What is it with some drivers? I don't know whether you've seen this. It might be unique to our town, but the drivers, they drive when they're going to make a right turn. What they do is they come out into the left lane, swing around in front of you, slow down, and make the right turn. What is it with the making that big turn into the other lane and coming back around? Is it because they drive a tractor trailer truck normally for a living? No, that's not the case here, because most of the people I see doing this are women. So with this infraction, go ahead and do the same thing. It's pretty close to the right turn I was talking about. Go ahead and tap their bumper a little bit. They'll get the message, okay? Now, semi-turns, turns, kind of leads into the next thing, which is the inability to yield or merge. Take, for instance, we have one traffic circle in town, and that traffic circle was put in 3 years ago. The 4 roads that lead into the circle, at each place there's a yield sign. Now, this has been going on for a couple years. When the drivers in our town get to the circle, they stop. It doesn't matter how much traffic is around, they stop. Synonymous with stop signs, yield signs, they're thinking maybe that's the case because the yield, the inability to yield, falls right in line with their inability to merge. Merging into traffic. Now, if you're on a, let's say, a 4-lane undivided highway, and you want to move from the left lane to the right lane because you're going to make a right turn, normal person would do that, would move over in a smooth manner, traffic or not. They would put their turn signal on and smoothly move over. In our town, no. Merged is not a part of their process of driving. So, therefore, if there's traffic and they want to move over to the right lane, they're going to make sure they move over into that right lane when there's no traffic around, so that they can make that right-hand turn 4 miles up. Okay? Then, the problem here is, if you don't know how to merge in traffic, put your turn signal on and slowly merge over. The problem on the interstate is that if there's traffic around and you want to move from one lane to the next, what happens is this person will get a little flustered and they'll jerk the wheel over into the other lane. This happened years ago when I was with somebody from town. When they moved from lane to lane, they were jerk the car. How unsafe is that? That is so unsafe. And then, this is probably 10, 15 years ago, and I haven't seen it since. And it only happened here. I was entering from a 2-lane highway onto an entrance ramp onto the interstate. There was a car in front of me a couple hundred feet. When you get on an entrance ramp to get on the interstate, you slowly accelerate. So that by the time you enter the interstate, supposedly, you're going the same speed as the traffic. Well, what did this car do? This car was accelerating slowly, but it stopped on the entrance ramp well before it should be entering the highway. I'm like, oh my goodness, what is he doing? What an idiot. And then he starts accelerating. And he gets up close to where you can get onto the lane where the traffic is. So what he does, as soon as he gets to that point, he jerks the car over into the lane rather than moving smoothly up the road and then entering traffic. Crazy, not knowing how to merge. How do they get a license? I don't understand it. For that infraction, you can, well, I'll leave that one up to you. That's totally up to you. Although, what I've done in the past is go ahead and really honk the horn on these people, because in our town, they don't use the horn. In fact, if you use the horn and tap on your horn, somebody in front of you, they might just give you the bird. They consider blowing the horn very impolite. So in this case, or cases like that, I've not just tapped on the horn, I give them a good blare. They'll like that, yeah, they'll like that. Now, if you want to play a little trick while you're in town with the horn, try when you're next to a police officer, then really blare on the horn. See what happens. Now this infraction I've only seen a couple of times. And this is on a highway that runs north-south through our town. It's a 4-lane highway. It's busy. It's got a center lane for the purpose of turning from either direction. So the traffic on the right can get into the lane and make a left-hand turn. The traffic coming the opposite direction can move into the center lane and do the same thing. I was going down the road south one time recently where I had plenty of space between the two cars. The car in front of me slowed, put his left-hand turn signal on, and he stopped right in front of me. I'm like, what is he doing? There's a left-hand turn lane. There's a turn lane over there, you idiot, that you can move over to. So rather than doing that, he's holding me up and the rest of the traffic behind it. Moron. Infraction. Incredible. Retribution. Get this guy to pull over, make a citizen's arrest, and ask him for his driver's license. We have some really slow drivers in our town. It falls right in line with the living dead drivers. But even if it's a 25 mile per hour zone, you could have people doing 15 miles per hour down the road. Well, what are they thinking? And you have to follow behind them. And sometimes you even wonder if there's a person in the vehicle, because you can't see any head. All you see is headrests. You don't see any driver. Is there a little kid in that car? I don't know if most of these drivers are the elderly or not, but we gotta get them off the road. To put it mildly, I am no longer surprised by the lack of driving skills by people at intersections. It just blows my mind. Case one, you're at a stoplight. There's a white bar across the road in your lane as to where to stop when you stop at the intersection at the traffic light. The light turns green. You have a string of traffic behind the front car. The front car has a left turn signal on to make a left turn. He's going to wait for the traffic coming the opposite direction to be clear to make the left-hand turn. But as you know, those white bars are set back quite a ways. Do you think that that driver would have enough awareness that if he pulled just 15 feet forward, allowing the rest of the traffic by him to go around and continue, that person would have enough forethought to do that? No, it doesn't happen that way. That person will sit there, and when the light turns yellow, if they can get through, they'll floor it and leave everyone else standing right behind where they were to wait for the next traffic light. And there's a string of cars behind them patiently waiting. Of course, nobody's tapping on a horn to let this person know that the light has changed green. No, they wouldn't communicate that. They wouldn't want to touch the horn. So what happens is the person, oh, it's yellow. I can go now. Oh, quick. Accelerator, leaves everybody else behind. Red light. Another situation. People are traveling down the road. It's a two-lane highway. You're coming up to a traffic light. There's 10 cars. The one car in the lead is going very, very slow. The light's green. Everybody's close to the car that's in front. It turns yellow. The car in the lead that's going super slow sees that it's yellow, floors it, makes it through a red light, and leaves everybody else in the dust that could have gotten through smoothly at a normal pace through the light. And that happens normally when you're standing still also. Drives me nuts because you'll be at the light will turn green for, let's say, a left arrow. First car pokes out, might take a couple seconds. They poke out about half the speed they should be going. There's a long delay between the first and second car. Second car pokes out. So what happens is on a traffic light that is turned, say, a left green arrow, 5 cars make it through before it turns red. In a normal town, in a normal situation, 10 cars could have proceeded through there. Crazy, just nuts. Now, these are bad infractions. They're not the worst, but to just have a little fun, I think, for retribution for this, then it ought to be legal to mount a .30 caliber machine gun on top of your car. And next time this happens, just give them a little blast, just maybe at the tires, and maybe at the side of the car, but don't hurt anybody. And what about the drivers that, and this is a true case. It's one of those drivers where the light has turned and the driver in the front is doing nothing, okay? And this happened to me recently. So we're all patiently waiting. The light turns red again. So I'm kind of pissed. I'm the car right behind there. So I get out of my car, I trek down to the front car. I'm mad. The person rolls down their window. I'm ready to tell this person off. And she says, I think my battery's dead. And I'm like, oh, oops. Because the norm is not that situation. The norm is that they're distracted. Thank you for listening to my show. Tune in, subscribe, give me a thumbs up. Thank you very much.